Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. I'm feeling lovely. As always, we're back with another video, another topic of discussion for all of my fellow athletes, or for whoever is interested in understanding how the mind of an athlete works, what we struggle with, how we deal with that, and yeah, all the good stuff. So today's episode is about why you can't have it all. Now, why is that important to understand? That's important to understand because it shapes you to be a better and more competitive athlete, in the sense that a lack of perfection, which is completely normal at times, shouldn't stop you from moving forward. Okay? Perfection doesn't really exist. Okay? You will always make mistakes, and all mistakes don't always lead to something bad. You learn from your mistakes, you can actually adjust from your mistakes and come up with better outcomes than you would have imagined from a perfect scenario. Okay? So that's why that is important, and I want you guys to understand that and to remind yourselves of that every single day. When you're training, when you're relaxing, when you're chilling, when you're looking back on your training sessions or your performance in game, that's something that you always need to have in mind, also while you're performing. Now, obviously, every topic that we go over always comes with issues, right? So what is the first issue that arises with understanding this? The first issue is obviously the desire for perfection, right? And it's not just in your personal training, but also in game or when you're performing, depending on what sport you do. And that desire for perfection hinders your progress. It hinders your ability to push past the mistakes you're making. When you're making mistakes while seeking perfection, you very quickly get frustrated, and you at times tend to decrease but maintain the same level that you're at to avoid feeling that frustration of trying to progress. And that is obviously very problematic. I'll take a very simple example. When you're playing football and you're driving with the ball, in order to run faster with the ball, you need to be comfortable with making mistakes at first. It might feel uncomfortable, or you might be scared to trip over the ball because you're not used to moving that fast with a ball at your feet that you have to control. You not only have to control your running technique, but you also have to control the ball in front of you without falling. For me, that is, something I think about, something that I come across from time to time. But I'm pretty sure that example can translate to whatever you're doing. Pretty much just to say that desire for perfection pushes you to play it safe all the time. You either get frustrated from trying to take it to the next step, and that most of the time leads you to play it safe, or get frustrated and now you're in your head, you're out of your game. You want to be in your game and out of your head. You don't want to be thinking too much. You don't want to be, doubting yourself every single time. So that desire for perfection has to go. I'm not saying that you cannot want more, but when you want more, that will always require you to get used to a new sensation, a new pattern, or a new movement that you've never done before, which will not always look good the first time you try it. So that's the first thing, the first issue, and the first thing that you have to think about and deal with in these situations. The second issue is the fear of other people's look or comments that people may make when you're performing. So let's say you make a mistake, and instead of just getting on it immediately, fixing it, and playing on with the game, you listen too much to what people on the sidelines are saying. Now, you obviously have to take advice from your teammates, take advice from your coaches, And maybe why not take advice from people that are just watching the game? Because you can learn from everybody. One thing that you need to do and be is be very attentive and very coachable. Anybody can give you valuable and valid advice. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, you're the one in charge. People can say whatever they want to say. They're not the ones on the field. So if you allow for people to dictate the majority of what you do when you perform, you're performing for them. You're performing based on what they're thinking, but they're not on the field. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with listening to people. The same way I listened to that helicopter pass by before, proceeding with my video. But the first person you need to listen to is yourself. You are the athlete. You are the football player. You probably know more than those people what to do in that situation because you're there. So fearing what people think, fearing what people say, that shouldn't even be a thing. Also, this might sound stupid, but people are scared not to look good performing. People are watching, your family may be watching, and you're doing something, and you might be scared to not look good doing that. You cannot think that way, because sometimes performing well is not always pretty. Doing what's best for your team or what's best for yourself in a specific situation doesn't always look pretty, but it gets you the results you want. So you need to get your priorities set before you let that fear hinder your performances. Now, obviously, how do we deal with both of these issues? Rather, the first way to deal with this is to stop expecting perfection all the time. Like I said, perfection doesn't exist. When you have that desire for perfection, it's fine to have that desire, but when you stop yourself whenever you get mad, or when you play it too safe because you don't want to feel that again, feel like you're not good enough, or feel like pushing past that might make you look stupid, you're stopping yourself from breaking barriers that you know down, barriers that once kept you here from getting here. You're blocking yourself. Nobody else is blocking you. The comments are not blocking you. You're just blocking yourself. And most of the time, what we do to ourselves, what we think in our own minds, is what brings us down before whatever anybody else ever says. A lot of people like to blame, oh, the coach said this, the player said this. No, people can say whatever they want to say, but it's a choice to let it get to you. You choose to let it get to you. That's up to you. No matter how hostile the environment, no matter how complex the situation is, maybe you received a terrible ball, and now you have to adjust and still perform at that level with this quality given to you. Don't get into your head and adjust. Do what needs to be done. Break that barrier. Keep it at that level. Even if you make a mistake, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. But what is an issue is not fixing it. So let go of that perfection. It's fine to make mistakes, but instead of getting frustrated, get on it immediately and fix it. The second way to deal with this is to stop caring what other people think. You're the one competing, you're the one on the field, you're the one on the track, or wherever you are. You're maybe in the pool, swimming, trying to become the next Michael Phelps. You're the one in charge. People around you are not in charge of your performance. So stop caring about what people think. Stop caring about how you look to other people when you perform. Because guess what? Instead of thinking of your performance, you're now thinking about what other people have to say. that could take valuable minutes, valuable seconds away from you getting where you need to be. That millisecond that you spent letting that person get into your head could be the reason why you lose the ball, could be the reason why your team loses the game, could be the reason why you lose, your track event, because you're not taking charge. I want to urge you guys to take charge of your life, take charge of your performance, take charge of your mental health. What you do not want to come in doesn't have to come in. Just because someone wants to give you shit doesn't mean you have to take it. Someone can insult you, a coach can tell you you're trash. If you know you're not trash, you don't have to take it. If a teammate is giving you shit, again, in heated situations, in complex situations, I think that trying to get the best out of your teammate could be confused for other things. So I'm not talking about those situations, but you can have situations where a coach might be talking down on you, a teammate might be talking down on you. But if you know what you're working with, if you know what you can do, don't let that get in your head. Take charge of what you can control and move with that. It's fine not to have it all. It's fine not to have the approval of your coach at all times. It's fine not to have the approval of your teammates at all times. Somebody might think that it's better to get the pass, right? To pass it to your teammate, to hit him with a through ball. But you see a gap. You think it's best for you to shoot. Why not? You're the one in charge of the ball. You're the one in charge of the situation. You don't always have to do what people expect of you. You need to go based on what you expect of yourself. So, to sum it up, when I mean by you can't have it all, it's not just about the performance itself, right? It's not just about being scared to make mistakes, but it's also not having it all in the sense that everything won't go your way, also based on what people say, not only based on what you do or fail to do. In those moments, instead of letting that mistake get to you, instead of letting that comment get to you, you bounce back immediately. You focus on what matters. Simple. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you learned something for my athletes, and obviously for anybody that's just interested in seeing what it's like to be in the mind of an athlete. I hope this was somewhat interesting, and yeah, stay tuned for more.